this time. Hey, the microphone's working this time. All right, you are looking live. It's sold out at Life Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They lost the Super Bowl because they suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. Rolls right off the tongue there. Philadelphia sucks. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. But instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, or or not longer, it's nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below is description box. It takes you to my membership page. All right, I got 3 different membership levels. The first membership levels I got is called the Saquon. Second membership level I got called is the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me, and I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. If you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. And finally, also in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. The top Facebook link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a group. Basically, I say this in every video. My YouTube channel, my Facebook group, my Facebook page, it's all called the same thing. It's all called New York Giants, the Gridiron. That way, a moron like me, I can remember. It's not, I don't have to remember. It's all called the same thing. It's not like, what's my group called? Is the page called something? What's the YouTube channel? It's all called the same thing. I dumb it down for me. So what do we have? We just went up to 3,800 members in the group. We were holding tight at 3,700 members for the past few days, but now we're up to over 3,800 members and doing well, doing very well. Basically, what I do is after I get done going live, I'll spend probably like close to maybe the next 2 hours or so just putting stuff in there in the group and in the page, which I'll go over in a minute. Whatever I put in, it could be an article I put in there, it could be a video, something just showing some stats, a post, a picture, something making fun of the Eagles and the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites. But if you become a member of the group, not only do I post stuff in here, but the members post stuff in here as well, too. So there's a ton of stuff, New York Giants stuff going in here every day. And then the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook. It's my page. All right. I'm the administrator in the page, so I'm the only one that posts. All right. But it's the same thing. I put a ton of stuff in there every day. I try to get up to like about 10 different things in there every day if I can. Sometimes in the off season, it's a little difficult. We have the 6 weeks, the downtime, we're just waiting for training camp to start. And them guys were off and freaking running. It's unbelievable. We just finished last season. I mean, it's been a couple months, but it just seems like, we had that great playoff win over the Vikings, and we got a butt handed to us by the Eagles. And I mean, actually, we're almost halfway through this. So we got like 5.5 weeks, and then training camp starts. 5.5 weeks, and we're off and running. Holy cow. Wow. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But in the page, my New York Giants Gridiron page, we're We went up. We had 6,000 followers. Now we're over 6,100 followers. That's really doing well. I have over 1,700 people who like the page and over 6,100 people who are following the page. I tell you, it's really, really doing good. As I said, it's the same thing. I try to put up like 10 different things in there every day, whether it's an article, a post, a picture, something, as I said, or something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites. And basically, as I say this all the time, I don't commingle them. So basically, the stuff that I put in the page, I don't put in the group. Whatever I put in the group, I don't put in the page, unless it's something making fun of the Eagles. And I just want to share it with everybody. I'm just saying, for the most part, I try to keep the stuff separate. But I mean, if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, every day there's a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say in every video I do, right? If you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, you go to the group and become a member. If you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, all that stuff said and done and out of the way with. It was nice to see the Pro Football Network. They were grading their ranking their coaches. And it was nice to see that Daboll, the reigning coach of the year, got some love. He wasn't in the top 10, but hey, there's some really good coaches in here, and you really can't argue. Obviously, Andy Reid, without question. He's the best coach in the NFL, bar none. You got Bill Belichick, but you start thinking and looking and dinking and dunking and all this stuff and everything. And you're like, what has Bill Belichick done since Tom Brady left? I don't even know. Has he even won a playoff game since then? Obviously Bill Belichick's phenomenal, awesome, fantastic, all that Hall of Fame coach, absolutely, all that stuff and everything. But if Tom Brady wasn't there, how many Super Bowl wins would the Patriots have? If Tom Brady got drafted by, I don't know, the Buccaneers, or actually if Tom Brady got drafted by the New York Giants, I don't remember the name of the guy, but there was a guy who, and Ernie Accorsi asked him, and the guy said, I can't remember the guy's name, but in the draft, for Tom Brady's draft was in 2000, I believe it was, whatever. They came around the 4th and the 5th round, and they asked this guy from the Giants, and he kept bringing up Tom Brady. Can this guy help us? And this guy said, yes, he can help us. And for whatever reason, Ernie Stunad, of course, he did not wind up. That was our GM at the time. Did not. He's the one that he got Eli. So, but for whatever reason, they didn't listen to him. They didn't pull the trigger. And I think we had like 2 chances again. I think we had a chance in the 4th round and in the 5th round. I think maybe to pull the trigger and get Tom Brady, and our GM didn't listen. So anyway. But it just goes to show. If Tom Brady never got drafted by the Patriots, how many Super Bowl wins would the Patriots have? How many Super Bowl wins would Bill Belichick have? But anyway, go on. So without question, Andy Reid right now is the, and it just goes to show you the stunadness, the idiots that the Eagles are letting him go, because he was an Eagle, but they let him go because they're morons. So Andy Reid's number 1. They got Bill Belichick number 2. Mike Tomlin, can't argue with that, with him being number 3. Yeah, absolutely can't argue with that at all. John Harbaugh, okay, good solid pick. You could start, they got Kyle Shanahan number 5. Kyle Shanahan had the 38th string quarterback, and he took him to an NFC Championship game. The guy's, a good he's got a good mind, good head on his shoulders. Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers. Then they got Sean McVay. It's hard to argue there, I guess. He went to the Super Bowl, won it. They had a little bit of a down season last year. Let's see if they can bounce back this year. They've got Doug Peterson. To me, I got Pete Carroll up there higher than some of those guys. But anyway, Doug Peterson, okay. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. So it's hard to knock that. They got Nick Sirianni. No, sorry. Guy's been in the league for 2 years. He's been basically handed the best team in all of football. Nah, sorry. And he couldn't even win a Super Bowl. They got Sean McDermott, number 9, Pete Carroll, number 10. Then we have then they got Matt LaFleur at number 12. His regular season record's 47-19, which is fine, fancy and cool and all that stuff. And let's see what he does with Julian Love, right? Or Jordan Love, whatever the quarterback is. Not Julian Love. Jordan Love, the quarterback for the Packers. Let's see what he can do with him. Imagine, because you figure all this time, he's had Aaron Rodgers. It's Jordan Love, but he's had Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback all this time. So now he doesn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback in there, and he has Jordan Love as his quarterback, quite possibly. Let's see how the Packers fare this season. Right. So, but anyway, they got Brian Daboll at number 11. Now, obviously, I'll tell you what, that's outstanding. He's the reigning coach of the year. He only played one season, and there's no way in HELL hockey sticks that you can put him in the top 2 or 3. There's obviously no way, that you can put him above a lot of these other guys. So to get him there at number 11 is absolutely fantastic. That's showing him a lot of love. That's really, really good. They got here's from the Pro Football Network. What's the article called? The Pro Football Network. It's got NFL Pro Football and NFL Head Coach Power Rankings 2023. Has Andy Reid passed Bill Belichick in the battle of coaching supremacy? Oh yeah, I got him. Absolutely. But they got Brian Daboll here. After leading the Giants to a playoff appearance, shattering expectations for a team that many thought would be in line for another top 10 draft pick. Yep. With both of his coordinators back, Daboll must add talent to the Giants roster, but he's already shown he can get the most out of what he's given, which is extremely important. Not only what he's given, but also, with all the injuries too. Bringing in other guys, kind of like bringing guys in off the street and getting them ready, to play a football game. That's huge. Daboll's best trait may be his understanding of the modern NFL game, which is huge, yes, and the importance of the quarterback run. But hiring is an important part of coaching, and gathering a staff of Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale was an outstanding decision. Now, something was brought up earlier, but before, and I heard this, and it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes it's just simple, silly things like this you just kind of overlook. Now, a lot of times, like what happened with Judge. A lot of times you bring in guys familiar. You're familiar with guys. Like with Judge. It seems like everybody he knew, everybody he brought in, except for I think Mara brought him in. I think, I don't know if you felt sorry, want to give him a job or something. But everybody else he brought in, he either had like connections with, or he worked with them in New England or Alabama, or they came from Alabama or something. Like a lot of connections, and that's a lot of a lot of you want the familiarity. It's like, these are my guys. These are my guys. I'm familiar. Maybe the guys that you're coaching. You bring in your guys. These are the guys I'm going to sink or swim with. These are my draft picks and all that. But also the coaches. I'm familiar with these guys, and a lot of times that's a good way to go. But sometimes not. And we saw it wasn't didn't really work out too well for Joe Judge and the Giants, right? He brought in a lot of guys he was familiar with. There's no way in HELL hockey sticks that the guys he brought in were bad coaches. A lot of them were from Alabama, So, or it came in from New England, and so I mean, they came from winning organizations, but sometimes, you know, sometimes what you need is what John Mara did with, instead of like bringing guys like the GM, instead of bringing somebody who's familiar with, or he knew, or this or that or whatever, he just he took he just threw it all up in the air. He's like, we gotta get a fresh. We got to get a fresh mind in here. Somebody from the outside, maybe from a winning organization that we don't have any connections with, that we have no, we haven't dealt with or anything, whatever, right? So we're going to start bringing in a bunch of guys from other winning organizations, and we're just going to start from there. And we're going to let somebody else, because there's a lot of ways to, build a good staff, a lot of ways to look at things the right way of this. And sometimes, getting in many different minds, good minds from many different organizations, because I mean, a lot of it is like, if you bring in like Alabama, I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? You bring in a lot, maybe just bringing in some guys from Alabama, the coaches and all that, right? Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, it's a winning organization, but they got a certain way of maybe looking at things and doing things and stuff like that, right? May not always be the best way with the amount of maybe the guys that you have. Sometimes it really helps to have different points of view. And a lot of ways, obviously, one of the ways to get that is to bring in people from other teams, other organizations that maybe you have no ties with. I mean, because there's just not one way to run a team. There's not one way to coach a team. There's not one way to do this. And there's different ways. And what he was able to, I mean, obviously Shane brought in Daboll. There's a connection there. But then you start looking. I mean, you just kind of go, we kept Henderson, kept him here, but you brought in, brought in Wink from the Ravens. You brought in Kafka from the Chiefs. So you kept a couple guys here. McKay, you kept him. But you brought in other people from other organizations, from other ways of looking at things. And, the guy, the guy, the tight end coach, Bischoff, from the Ravens. So you got people coming in from other winning organizations. I mean, you got bring people in from the Bills, people from the Ravens, the Chiefs, from other organizations. But there's other ways of looking at things, other points of view. There's so many smart coaches out there, and there's so many good ways of looking at it. And, instead of looking at something, well, we got a problem here. Okay, let's look at it the Alabama way. How would Alabama handle this? Well, I mean, maybe most of the time an Alabama point of view might be good. Sometimes maybe it's not. Sometimes if you have a point of view from Buffalo, we kept some coaches from the Giants. You got a point of view coming in from the Ravens. You got a point of view coming in from the Chiefs. Whoever else we got on, I mean, you got all these different points of view looking at it. You might come up with a pretty good answer. So, I mean, with Daboll going out of his way, and Shane and Daboll going out of the way and bringing guys in from other organizations who play basically, I mean, the Godfather Patterson coming from Minnesota, right? I mean, that guy's seen a lot, I mean, you can't buy, you can't go to Yale or Harvard and get what he's got up inside his noggin. I mean, there ain't no way. Bring him in, right? Nobody had any ties to him. Bring him in, right? But I mean, sometimes, sometimes you bring in a bunch of guys and maybe they don't fit together, they don't mesh or whatever like that, and you're gonna have some problems. But this, knock on wood, this seems to be working out pretty well. So you got to give Daboll a lot of credit, a lot of credit. And so they got him at number 11. I mean, that's pretty impressive after one season. Now, now let's just keep this in mind. I mean, the Giants can have a around the same kind of record, maybe get 10 win, maybe go 10-7 or something like, maybe make the playoffs or whatever, but and it would be a successful season once again without making like a huge jump. They don't have to be 14-3 this year, to have a successful season, because they're playing a tougher schedule, right? And so if they wind up with about the same winning, if they win like 10 games or so, they can still be a successful season. They're still building. But they have to Pro Football Network to grade Daboll at number 11. I think that's pretty good. Pretty impressive there. Then I saw, what was the guy there? Is this? This one got Carl Banks feathers all ruffled up. And he's got a good point here. There's a couple of articles I saw. It says New York Giants rookie Jalin Hyatt off to a slow start with the team. It's... yeah. Let's see. It says who wrote this? Sportsnaut.com. I think I saw it someplace else as well too. That he was running with the third stringers, and he's kind of like off to a slow start, and because he's with the third string and all that and everything, and it's really got ruffled the feathers of Carl Banks quite a bit. Because he was kind of like, he was the third round pick. He wasn't like pick number 10. Actually, Bob Papa and Carl Banks were talking about this, and they both kind of really agreed. It's not like, he was picked where Jamar Chase was picked at, or Jaylen Waddle, or DeVonta Smith, or anything like that. He's a third round pick, and it's kind of like he has to come in and has to earn his way in. There's other guys that spent time in this system. There's other guys on the team that have played a lot more snaps than him. He's on the third string, maybe, running routes with the third string in minicamp. He's trying to earn his way onto the roster, into the maybe the second string or the first string or whatever. But I seen a couple articles like, that Jalin Hyatt's off to a horrible start. They got him, shoved into third stringers, running routes with them and all of that. And I think we need, some of these guys, I think they need just to slow their roll a little bit. It said, let's see here. When New York selected Hyatt in the third round, many hoped he would play a prominent role in an offense with opportunities for the taking. Despite the Giants not having some of the best receiving depth in the NFL, though, Hyatt will enter training camp buried on the depth chart. It says, while Paris Campbell is emerging in New York, Dan Dugan of The Athletic reports that Hyatt spent most of the offseason program with the third string offense. As the Giants beat reporter notes, their rookie wide receiver faces an uphill climb to earn a role in 2023. Hyatt is one of the fastest NFL players, but he's underdeveloped as a wide receiver. Outside of screens and vertical routes, Hyatt struggles to create separation, and his route running is behind other rookie wide receivers. For now, Hyatt's role in 2023 with New York is projected to see him deployed as a rotational vertical threat who plays limited snaps in his rookie season. We haven't even gotten to training camp yet. All of a sudden these guys are like, hey, this guy's buried on the depth chart. He'd be lucky to get a snap, and he might catch a pass every game, maybe if he's lucky. I don't know where to come. In order for him to change that, Hyatt will need to demonstrate in training camp, which we haven't gotten to yet. They're running around in their pajamas, and all of a sudden these guys here, have them pegged for, man, the guy's struggling. The guy may not make the team. They might have to cut him. It's like, they traded a third and fourth round pick to go up and get him. They're going to use him. Don't worry about that. They're going to use him. I'm not saying he's going to be the starter from day one. I'm not saying he's going to catch 80 balls this year. I'm not going to say he's going to lead the team in receptions. But they do a lot of due diligence on these guys. They just don't, trade away a third and a fourth round pick to move up a few spots to get him in the third round and just bury him on the depth chart. All right. They got visions in their heads of what they're going to do with Jalin Hyatt. Don't worry about that. In order for him to change, Hyatt will need to demonstrate in training camp that he's a better route runner and can handle press coverage far better than he's ever done before. Now, that is true. That is true. I mean, Steve Smith said that too. Steve Smith, my, oh my God, I was cracking up when Steve Smith said this. Oh my goodness. I don't know who he's talking to or whatever it was, but Steve Smith from the Panthers. He's like, Jaylen, I was rolling. He's like, I have never seen somebody wide open all the time. I mean, every time I see him, he is wide open. I mean, that's the college, the college games. But it's just funny. I've never seen a guy open every time. Man, he had me rolling. But what he said, also, Steve Smith said, what I want to see you do is, not when you're, maybe in the slot, you're 5 yards off the ball or something like that. What are you going to do when you're on the line and you got another guy on the other side who's bigger than you, stronger than you, taller and all that stuff than you, and he starts getting in your face, talking to you, jamming you and stuff like that, and running you off your route, right? Getting adversity. As Steve Smith said, I want to see you, after that route's over, turn around, go back to the same spot where you're at, run the same route, and I want to see what you're going to do to change that. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle adversity? Because you're going to get that in the NFL. But he brought up a point of, just him being open all the time in college. But, that's not going to be, it's going to be in the NFL. I think it's going to be a little bit different. But, but as I said, the Giants did the due diligence on him. As I said, I mean, you can, in the Giants' life, I think it's called the Giants' life or whatever from the Giants, they let it out, about the draft and everything. And Shane was like, and he got to the third round, and like Jalen Hyatt's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. A sore thumb. Yeah, I can talk. And he was like, still on the board. He's on the board. He's on the board. It's like, it's like, so then Shane went to, I think, Daboll and some of the other, some of the others. And he said, let's start making some phone calls. Let's see, when does it come into play that we just have to give our third and our fourth round to jump up and maybe see if we can get Hyatt. So they started making some calls. Daboll actually texted McVay with the Rams. He said, our third, would you take our third and fourth for your third? And McVay, I guess, texted back, yeah. So then the Rams called the Giants. Shane took the call, I guess it was. He said, yeah, we'll give you our third and fourth, because he didn't want to give a third, a fourth, and maybe like a sixth or something like, he didn't want to have to, so you want to, how far did the pick have to fall for the Giants to be able to jump up and give it? And I think the Giants got away with the steal, jumping up like 16 spots, I think it was, to get the third and a fourth, to give up just a third and a fourth for the Rams third. I think if you look at the draft chart, it just something to go by. But a lot of people go by it quite a bit. And if you look at what the Giants, the two picks that the Giants gave up to move up all those spots, they didn't give up that much. If you go according to the chart, the Giants should have gave up more than that. So I think we owe the Rams a little bit of a thanks, because if it was some of the other coaches, they probably would have wanted a third, a fourth, and maybe a sixth or something like that as well. So, I mean, the Giants really, really did well. So, but I mean, just because, I said, I mean, what's he's a third round pick. I mean, we got Darius Slayton, who's been with the Giants for years. Isaiah Hodgins had a great year last year, right? Paris Campbell, right? I mean, experienced. We got Jamison Crowder, and Colin Johnson in there, So I mean, and some other guys too have been, So I mean, just because we took the guy in the third round doesn't mean we're going to put him out. He's not in the third, be running with the first stringers maybe right away. He might have had some reps with the first stringers. I mean, that's possible. But I mean, maybe most of his was in the third, the third stringers. That's fine. That doesn't mean he's buried on a depth chart, or he doesn't have a chance of catching any passes this year, or the Giants might cut him, or I mean, Doesn't mean that. Yeah. Hey, as Carl Banks and Bob Papa talked about this, I mean, I think it's called Believe in Giants. That's their podcast, and they were talking about that, and kind of ruffled Carl Banks's feathers quite a bit. He said, the guy's a rookie. He took him in the third round. I mean, just because he's not on the first team running routes, all the time. Don't get too carried away. Right? It's called having to earn your way on. He's called earn your spot, earn your roster spot. That's what it's called. You want to be in the first stringers? Well, you better go earn it. So, but I mean, don't worry about it. I mean, he's on the team. He's on the final 53. Yeah, I mean, you can almost guarantee that. So, they traded 2 picks to get the guy. Don't you worry about that. He might be on the third string, but don't worry about that. And then there's 3 picks here. I saw what the heck was it. This article here from Fanside. It's 3 former Giant picks who are probably done in the NFL. Now, the first one, is it? Oh, nope. Which was the first one here? Okay, the first one they got is Landon Collins. Now, I don't know about this one. I mean, because, he's 2015, right? So, he's been around a little while. I mean, I'd have a hard time, just because he's not on a team right now, this certainly does not. I mean, he did okay with the Giants last year. I mean, if he wants to still play in the NFL, somebody might want to pick him up, and especially, if as people start getting injured, if he stays healthy, if he stays in shape and all, somebody certainly might want to pick up Landon Collins. He's a good leader. Right. I mean, obviously he's probably lost a step or so. I mean, considering, he's been in the league since 2015. He's played a lot of snaps and all, but I mean, he didn't do too bad last year for the Giants. They just chose to go a different direction. That's all. But I mean, I don't know about him being done. I mean, I could see him maybe finding his way on the roster somewhere this year. I said, this is from Fansided. So they came up with this article. The second one I'm kind of bummed out about, but this is one is Dwayne Train Gallman, and I'm kind of bummed out about this one because, unfortunately, he got picked by Shermer, and unfortunately, after 17, 18, 19, after Shermer, was it Shermer, or was it no, it wasn't Shermer. No, actually, he was with it was he got drafted with McAdoo. Right, he was drafted in the 4th round of the 2017 draft, so it was McAdoo's second season. So he made it. So the Dwayne Train made it through 17 with McAdoo and Spagnuolo, because Spagnuolo finished the season off. I think the last 3 games of the season he coached, but he made it both seasons with Shermer, and then he made it the second season with the first season that Judge was here in 2020. So he made it through 4 different coaches if you go McAdoo and Spagnuolo and then Shermer and Judge. But I mean, after 2020, I guess his rookie deal was up, and I guess they didn't want to renew it, so they just wound up letting him go. But I'm kind of bummed out about him because, I mean, in 2020, he was very valuable for the Giants after Saquon got hurt. I'll never forget that game that he had against the Seahawks. He ran for over 135 yards when the Giants went in and beat the Seahawks. Was it 17-12? Leonard Williams had a great game. It was in Seattle. We beat Russell Wilson. We're on the road. That was one of those games. That was one of those final 8 games where the Giants finished the season 5-3. We started 1-7, so things weren't looking good. But the final 8 games, we were 5-3. Gave you a lot of hope and optimism going into the 2021 season, and then of course, but it was just a shame with Gallman because I really liked him. Maybe he wasn't certainly obviously a starting, an all-star starting running back, but I mean, just to have somebody like him and as your second stringer or whatever, I think he was very adequate. But I mean, there's a good chance he could be done, especially because so we get 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This would be his 7th season. There's a lot of new fresh legs out there, so quite possibly that's a possibility. But I liked him. I was ashamed when we didn't want to re-sign him. Then, of course, the last one would be Mr. Irrelevant, Tay Crowder. Said the Giants drafted Tay Crowder with the final pick of the 2020 draft. The last pick is usually dubbed Mr. Irrelevant, but Crowder quickly proved that he was not Mr. Irrelevant, that he was relevant for a Giants defense desperately in need of physical linebackers. Over the course of 3 seasons, Crowder racked up 232 tackles, 108 assisted, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions. Crowder was slated to be the Giants' third inside linebacker to start 2022, but after Darian Beavers tore his ACL and Blake Martinez was shockingly released, Mr. Irrelevant ended up the season at the top of the depth chart. But he was one of the reasons why, that we had. Now, of course, talk about his hit on Derrick Henry in the opening game. I mean, the way he just decleated Derrick Henry, man, what a shot that was. But I mean, he was also one of the reasons why, the middle linebackers that we had, had a hard time stopping the run. Maybe one of the guards or whatever would get to the second level, lock on him, and he couldn't unlock, and he couldn't make a tackle. So that's why, he got let go. But let's see. What do they got to say about him? Georgia product really struggles to tackle and gets burned in coverage. He is still young, so some team may opt to take a chance on him, but as of now, he is a free agent. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, that doesn't mean, that, there's no hope for him. Once again, he is young, but, he does have deficiencies without question. Now, if there's somewhere along the line where another team needs, maybe some depth, and he would certainly come cheap. I mean, it could wind up being, where, a team, as the season goes along, one team just starts getting depleted in their linebackers, and hey, who knows? But I mean, as of right now, they're talking about him being a free agent, and there are some holes in his game, so doesn't mean he won't get signed, but it's. He does have his deficiencies to him, so that was just kind of odd. But I mean, it just kind of goes to show you, like, as you go along, all of these picks that the Giants wind up making, some of them are just not very good. Now they said in here. Now this I found. I mean, this is just goes to show you, I mean, how poor the Giants, some of the drafts have been. Giants have missed the playoffs in 8 of the last 10 seasons. There are a litany of reasons why the Giants have been dreadful over the last decade, last year not included. But the main reason, insanely poor drafts. And not only that, but not re-signing your own players. Since 2011, the Giants have made nearly 100 picks. It's a lot of picks. Only 4 of those picks, Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr. Of course, that's a little thing here. We gave Odell a second contract, and then we traded him away. So he didn't last on the Giants very long after we re-signed him. But anyway, Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr., Daniel Jones, and Dexter Lawrence, hopefully, and Saquon. So hopefully we'll be adding Saquon to this list. But anyway, those 4 guys have received a second contract after the rookie deals expired. That is just plain bad development. That's horrible. 4 guys, 4, and actually, and the one of them who's actually wound up being the best out of all of them, the biggest star out of them all, Odell Beckham Jr. We signed him to another contract, and then we traded him. I don't know what it was, like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks, whatever it was later. So it says Dave Gettleman deserves much of the blame, as he had badly misfired on some first-round picks. Gettleman took DeAndre Baker in the first round of the 2019 draft and selected Kadarius Toney in the first round of the 2021 draft. Neither player made it through 2 seasons with the Giants. Development is the key to a sustainable winning culture. Unfortunately, for many Giant draft picks, they were never developed. So, which is true. I mean, it's. You go out and you pick these guys for a reason. You just don't haphazardly take Trey Hawkins, right? I mean, because, he's, you can't take other guys because they're drafted, but, you zone in on Trey Hawkins for a reason, right? You just don't take him for a year or so. He stinks. We'll get rid of him. No, you spend all this time and money and effort zoning in on this guy to draft him. Okay. you're going to spend some more time, quality time, and all that to develop him. Give him every chance he can as far as development. In the offseason, we need for you to work on your speed, whatever. We need to work on your core strength. You need to work on this. You need to work on your route running. You need to work on your watch. You need to watch film. Then it's up to them. Especially in the offseason. But you give them things to do. You try to develop them. And then if after 3 or 4 years or so, you're trying to develop them, if it just doesn't work, well, it just doesn't work out then. But, the Giants did a very poor job as far as trying to develop players. That's what they were saying since 2011. Very poor job. Very, very poor job. They said that since 2011 because I think we got JPP in 2010, so we gave him another contract. But basically, look, over the past 10 seasons, only had 4 guys that we gave a second contract to. Holy cow. Is that horrible? All right, and then in my continuing series, now I'm with the edge rushers here. Now, this one was kind of tough, all right? This one was tough. And unfortunately, I'll tell you what, the NFC East, as far as edge rushers, is a beast. I'm like, man, every team has got some good. Now, I got the Giants at number 4. I'm just telling you. Kayvon only had 4 sacks last season. Azeez has a hard time staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, Azeez could probably rack up a bunch of sacks and all. But if Azeez stays healthy, do I think he's going to take a step up this year? Oh yeah, absolutely. If Kayvon stays healthy, I think the way his work ethic and he's worked in his off season and all, do I think he's going to get better this year? Oh yeah. But I'm wishful thinking. Not wishful. I'm kind of, speculating. I want to do this like from, not, we got the greatest edge rushers. I'm just trying to be, as fair as I can. But I really think that Azeez and Kayvon will take a step forward this year. But, all right, I got the Giants at number 4. I got the Cowboys at number 1. If you want to put like Lawrence and like Micah Parsons, right? The thing is why I got, the Eagles got like 300 guys that had 10 sacks last year. So, it's easy to say the Eagles. But the thing is that what I'm impressed about, like with maybe Lawrence, okay, and the same thing with the Commanders, right? They got Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But the problem was with Chase Young is he's a walking injury waiting to happen. Phenomenal talent, freakish, unbelievable. He puts people's rear ends in the seats to see him. The guy is just a phenomenal talent. The guy can't stay healthy. But my other point is that between Sweat and Young, right, if they can stay on the field and do real good with, edge rush and all, but they're also being helped by their defensive guys in the front there. Same thing with the Eagles. If you look at Brandon Graham, and you can put I don't know if you want to put Hassan Reddick in there as well too, but then they got Josh Sweat. I think all those guys had like 85 sacks apiece. They're just ridiculous last year. But my other point is that they're being helped out by the defensive tackles. I think with Lawrence and Parsons, right, the Cowboys, their ability, they got Mazi Smith might be their starting defensive tackle. They don't have phenomenal defense, not like the Commanders, not like the Giants. And it's the same thing with Azeez and Kayvon. They're being helped out a lot because of Sexy Dexy and Leo the Lion. Those guys occupy people, blockers, space, and all, So that helps free up Azeez and Kayvon. DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, I'm not as thrilled with the Dallas Cowboys interior defensive line as I am with the other ones. So that's why I got Dallas at number 1, because between Parsons and like Lawrence, I think they're doing a lot more on their own. All right. I got the Eagles at number 2 as far as that, and because they got like 3,000 guys that are off the edge. They're being helped by their interior defensive linemen as well too, but they got so many guys. I mean, their edge rushers are just simply crazy, absolutely crazy. So I got the Eagles at number 2. I got Washington number 3. Now, as I said, the thing, I mean, they could be higher. Montez Sweat is, it's really, really good. So is Chase Young. He's got to stay healthy, though. Can he stay healthy? He had like 107. What do you have? 170 snap? No, was it that many? Once again, 312. There he is, Chase Young. 114 snaps he had last year. The year before, he had 477. I mean, so he hadn't even had 600 snaps in the past 2 seasons combined. So, I mean, when he's healthy and all that, yeah, he's phenomenal. Really, really good. He's a wonderful threat. But, I mean, he just can't stay healthy. So, can he stay healthy this season? That's why I think between Sweat and Chase Young, if they're healthy, are better right now than Azeez and Kayvon. So but I'll tell you what, the NFC East is we're loaded with like edge rushers. The defensive lines and the edge rushers, wow. Very, very impressive for the NFC East. So as far as like the edge rushers, right, I got Dallas at number 1 because their edge rushers are really good, but they're not doing it with a lot of help from the interior defensive line. I got the Eagles at number 2 because they have 312,000 different guys who had 10 sacks last year. I mean, they're just unbelievable. And then I got Chase Young and Montez Sweat for the Commanders at number 3. They would be high. I mean, if Chase Young could have stayed healthy and he'd be just a beast all the time, they might be higher. But I got them number 3, and then of course I got Azeez and Kayvon at number 4. So now, after these stats here. Let's see, what do I got here? I know the Eagles are way in front. Eagles got 10. Eagles got 30 points. Giants have 20. Whew, my goodness. Cowboys have 23, and the Commanders have 17. Whew, wow. So tomorrow, okay, I'm going to do the whatever you want to call them, off-ball linebackers, interior linebackers, middle linebackers, whatever you want. The Okarike position. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. All right. So, but the Eagles are still in front, unfortunately. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up here. 46 minutes. Holy cow. Shoot my mouth off of that part. I mean, this is my second video. My first video didn't work because I tried to go live, plugged it in. My microphone wasn't working. For whatever reason, that happens like every couple weeks. I just plug it in and my microphone just doesn't seem to work. So the second video, it worked this time. So whoever spent any time at all watching me, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. And you guys absolutely rock. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.